One of the great things about OBS Studio being free and open source software is that there is a community of developers building plugins and scripts to extend its basic functionality. You can find many of these over at obsproject.com, but there are other places you can find them too. And today I want to talk about the Aitum Vertical plugin. The Aitum Vertical plugin actually allows you to have vertical and horizontal versions of your streams or recordings at the same time. And they're not just merely cropped versions of one or the other. You can literally make them have the same scenes or different scenes and sources. But to download the plugin, head over to aitum.tv, click on the vertical plugin, hit this download button, and we will wait for this to download. We can run the installer, make sure that you're installing it to your OBS installation on your computer. Hit the install button, and you're pretty much ready to go. Now, when you open OBS Studio, you'll actually have a few extra docs for the vertical scenes, the vertical sources, and you should also have a vertical canvas as well. I'm not actually seeing that on my screen, so I'm going to go up to the docs menu and just make sure I select this vertical option over here. Essentially, this is my vertical canvas. So what I can do from here, and again, I might just, you can sort of decide where you want to include that one. If you want to dock it or have it external, I will just move this over here, I think. Okay, and essentially we've got the ability to record or stream in both horizontal and vertical, where you've got the option to do that. But again, let's talk about actually setting up this scene. So I've already set up on the left-hand side, you can see my horizontal scene. I want to come down to the vertical sources. I want to hit that plus sign to add a new source. And I'll come in and I will grab my video capture device. You'll see here for the vertical sources, you have two options. One is for a new source, which is literally the word new here, or you can go down to existing ones. So here I want to reuse my camera source in this setting as well. So that brings that over there already. You can see that you can see some of the background behind me. So I can hold down Alt and drag that in to crop it out. Probably do that on the other side as well. I can resize that. So obviously things in a vertical format and horizontal format, you'll probably need to consider how they work differently. If I want to come in, I can come in and add some other things here. So maybe I want to come in and actually add an image. And again, I could use the same background that I've got over here, but I would have to resize that. And in this case, I've actually got, I've got a, I'm just going to get rid of that one from my list. I'm going to come in here and add some new images that are actually sort of scaled to this 16:9 format. So I'll go to new. I will go and find my images. So I've got a background. And I might even come in here and just rename that, and I'll say background vertical. And again, if I want to move this underneath my camera, which makes total sense, I would click on that and drag it down. And then I might want to add some more images. So we'll go to image, new. I've got a little bar that I like to have at the bottom of my screen. That's great where it is. And again, I might go image, new, and I might bring in my logo as well, which I believe is that one there. Okay, so now, I can potentially come in here and maybe resize this. I might want to make myself larger in the frame. It just depends on what I'm actually doing here. So a few things to note about the Aitum Vertical plugin. You've got these options down here. So we've got the ability to start streaming vertically. We can record vertically. We can do the Backtrack clip vertical, which is sort of just a replay buffer. And we do also have a virtual vertical camera. So the vertical virtual camera is really good for getting into TikTok's streaming service, but we do also have the options over here. So if we go to the settings, we can decide how, the format that we want to save our videos to for streaming and recording, where they go. If we're using the backtrack feature, how long that backtrack is actually for, and whether it's always running or running while streaming or in recording. Okay, and what we can do is if we can set up a new scene in our horizontal version. We'll just call this one scene 2 for argument's sake. We can have literally whatever we want on here. I'm just going to put some text here just to say scene 2, just as an example, just because I really want to show you a really cool feature here. So I'm just going to call this scene 2. Again, you would probably make a much more interesting scene here. But let's throw that over there. I'm going to come over to my vertical scenes now, and I'm going to add a new one. I'm going to say vertical scene 2. This will actually move us over to our vertical scene. I'm going to add that same text. I'm going to go to a new source, and I'm going to go to scene 2. It's going to throw that there. I can sort of reposition that where I want it. Again, not the most exciting example in the world, but I just want to show you something which is really, really cool. So if I go back to my first scene, if I right click in my vertical scenes on this one, we actually have this option here called link scenes. So when one scene is selected from the horizontal version of your stream, the corresponding one will be used over on the vertical version. So in this case, this is just called, so scene, I'll link the horizontal scene with the vertical scene. And let's actually come down and find scene 2, and we will do the same thing here. And scene 2. So again, now if I go back to scene 1, you'll see that it happens in both horizontal and vertical. And if I do the same with scene 2, it goes there as well. So the great thing about that is you can use all the methods to move from scene to scene in the horizontal version, such as keyboard shortcuts or a button on your Stream Deck, or just clicking, and that will sort of correspond, which is a really, really useful feature.